Attention everybody, got a situation over here. Gotta see your hands. Gotta see your hands.
In the club, we'll do it tonight, yeah. From the back to the left to the right, yeah. All them girls looking hot, looking tight, yeah. Come on and move from the wall to the light, yeah. I don't know, maybe you didn't hurt me. We're gonna lose it tonight, yeah, no mercy. We're gonna turn it up crazy. We're gonna turn it up, boom. That's for sure, no, we want one. All my fellas in the club, all my ladies over there. Let me hear you scream and shout. Now let me see you wave your hands. Let me see 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 your hands.
What's up, guys? Tack here again, and today we're gonna be back on story time, real life stories, with me. And today we're gonna go with like injuries. And let me start out with apologizing for that intro. I couldn't help myself. I was just messing around with the Grand Theft Auto 5 editor there, the Rockstar Editor, I think it's called. And I think we're gonna be playing a whole bunch of footage in the background from me messing around with that too, so if you're wondering what all this video is, let's get into the story. We're gonna start out with some injuries, and we'll see how long this takes and how many injuries we can fit in here. But let's start out with my broken nose and how bad that was. So we'll start out. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with baseball, and if you're not familiar with baseball, take a peek at this. This is a baseball diamond right here. And, it's a field. We got people playing everywhere. So we got a second baseman here. Actually, let's make this red. Oh, that's why. All right, so we got a second baseman here. Boom. Third baseman. Boom. Shortstop. Boom. This is me right here, Tack, the pitcher. And I think my brother, Josh, was at first base. I'm not positive on that. But then you got guys in the outfield too, and the catcher back down here. So, catcher's over here. So Tack's here, catcher's here, my brother's here, and let's go with a blue, and we'll do the other team here. So we got a guy on first, right? So there's a guy here. Boom. Blue dots will represent the other team. And there's a guy on third base. Boom. All right. There's only one out. I believe there was one out. And so there's a guy batting too, right? Boom. He's there. So we got all these guys here, the batter, first and third, and I'm pitching. So I pitch the ball, right? And it clips the catcher's glove and just shoots out from behind him. You know what I mean? So he kind of misses it. It wasn't a wild pitch, but I guess you can consider it a wild pitch to where the catcher didn't catch it and it went flying behind him, right? So in baseball training, when you're a pitcher, if there's a guy on third base and a wild pitch goes or something like that, or any kind of setup like this, or even just like anywhere, if there's a guy on third and something happens when the ball goes behind the catcher, he's allowed to run to home plate to steal it and score a goal, and so my instinct is to, we changed to color to me move in here. What can we do for movement? Will be yellow. All right, so my instinct is, the ball's way over here. Oops, my bad. Where's my brush? So the ball's down here somewhere, right? And the catcher's trying to get it over here. So I have to run to home plate. That's my job, is to run to home plate and, you know, have the catcher throw me the ball, because this guy's now on his way to home base because he sees a opening to where he can run to home plate and score a free goal, and this guy hasn't even hit a ball yet. They both these guys see it, and they both take off running, right? And the catcher is supposed to think, you know, there's a guy on home plate, so I should check him out before I decide to throw to second base, right? So I'm already right here. Let me move my back to red here. So I'm sitting like right here, right? Waiting for him to throw me and the catcher's over here now. And I'm waiting for him to throw me the ball because this guy's bombing to home plate and I want to tag him out, right? And he must not even have thought anything about this guy here. He just grabs the ball, runs over here, like looks around for a second and just, you know, doesn't even really look. Like he just fucking tosses the ball as hard as he can to second base. And I put it over here, but he was probably more behind the plate, like back here somewhere. And he tosses the ball as hard as he can to second base, and I'm standing right here, and like there was no time for me to react. It just smashed right in the face, you know what I mean? Like as hard as he could pitch. And we were, I think, 15 years old, and I was 15 years old, but everybody else was like 2 years older than me. Well, most of the people were 2 years older than me because I was in like I was above average in baseball, a little bit above average. You know what I mean? My brother's 2 years older than me, so, and we were on the same team. But yeah, anyways, so I mean, we could throw the ball. Like, I mean, I was pitch. I can't remember how fast I could pitch, but I was a pretty mean pitcher. And yeah, I mean, it was. I think they called it Major League. Yeah, it was Major League. It was just a step under Pony League. So I mean, we weren't like semi-pro yet, but we were getting there. And but anyways, yeah. So he throws the ball as hard as he can, hits me in the friggin' straight square in the nose, and I'm immediately just. This is all I remember is seeing. It was like a Looney Tune thing where I heard like it was like birds chirping, and then my ears started ringing, and it was just like this really high pitched sound, like almost like the effect of a nade going off in armor. And yeah, I didn't feel anything. I just went black, heard that high pitched thing, almost like bird tweets and stars, and all of a sudden, like, I just remember like faintly hearing like scuffling around, and then I could hear people like panic, like running over, someone call 911 or something, and I'm still like seeing black, and then all of a sudden I just felt this rush of pain like straight up in my nose. Like it was just like wham, like it just hit me so hard. It hurt so bad, and it was actually the pain. I opened my eyes and all I could see was blood everywhere. Like I was face down in the dirt, and there was just blood, like a ridiculous amount of blood, like a lot. All right, like more than I've seen. It looked like a gunshot wound or something, and but the feeling I felt was actually my brother came running over and he pinched my nose shut, and he grabbed it with his hand because there was just so much blood pouring everywhere. And yeah, so the coaches ended up calling 911, and the ambulance came, and they, you know, plugged my nose up with like cotton and stuff. And this isn't even the worst part yet. Like the worst is to come. And yeah, so I go to the doctor's office, and he's like, yeah, you definitely broke your nose, and it looks like you've got I forget what he called it, but it's pretty much just double deviated septums, which is pretty much this right here. And yeah, it's pretty much where you can't breathe out of your nose at all. Like it's just something blocking both sides of your nasal path. And but he was like, we need to try to set your nose back, because my nose was literally like pointing to the left. Like it was so broken, it was disgusting. So he's like, I'm gonna have to re-break it and push it back, straighten it out so it doesn't heal like that. And I was like, oh god. So he takes this like iron fork thing, like it looked like a tuning fork, and he sticks it up my nose, and he's like, I'm gonna count to three, and 1, 2, 3, and just wham, fucking, I'm just remembering it now. Like, he hit it, and it cracked right back in place and just started bleeding even more. And, you know, he plugged that back up, and, you know, I was all swollen up for like weeks. And yeah, and then finally it was like, when it was all done and healed, like, it was way worse than they expected. Like, they kind of knew I had deviated septums, but they didn't think it was this bad. Like, I could literally like put my finger into the tip of my nostril and touch nothing but bone. So I couldn't even like breathe out of my nose for like a year or two straight until my parents could afford to get me, like, well, I guess like what happened was we never like filed an insurance claim or anything. Like, nobody ever thought anything of it, and because it didn't seem that bad. It was just, oh, he broke his nose, but it ended up being really bad to where it was like I couldn't breathe out of my nose at all. So when I would go to sleep, I would breathe with my mouth wide open, and it was making kind of my teeth kind of cave, like kind of go in at an angle, you know what I mean? So like I had to, they had to do something, because if I kept it up, like my teeth would be like friggin' really weird. Like, it just, because usually when people sleep, they sleep with their tongue pushed up against the roof of their mouth, which, believe it or not, helps your teeth stay straight down. I've learned all this from breaking my nose. It's weird, but yeah. Anyways, so I had to deal with that for so long, and then finally my parents saved up like like $12,000 or something. I forget how much it was, but I had to get pretty much rhinoplasty surgery, but they call it reconstructive plastic surgery because it was kind of necessary for my health. And yeah, this is where it gets interesting, and this is where that picture was actually taken, was like right before I went in for surgery. So he wanted to see the side of it. I wish I could find the before and after picture, but I can't find it anywhere. But yeah, I have a perfect nose now. But anyway, so what they did is they put me under, you know, and they sliced underneath my nose, like right above my lip, and sorry, I hit my mic. They peeled back my nose, like the skin from my nose, and then took a chisel and chiseled out all the broken bone bits, and then, you know, got rid of all the obstructions. And I mean, they explained most of it to me, but yeah, I remember like from the hospital visit, like when they put you under, like I remember going out, and then you wake up in the hospital, and I remember waking up and I had like the oxygen mask on me. I had like a million things taped to me so they could read my heart rate. And like I remember just waking up with like my whole nose was packed shut and taped up, and from the surgery, so I couldn't breathe out of it. And they had this oxygen mask on me, and like the shit tasted nasty. I remember waking up thinking like, oh my god, what is tastes so bad? And I don't know if it was a mix between the oxygen and the blood that was like dripping down my throat or not, or whatnot, but anyways, I remember opening my eyes slowly, and I look over, and there's this like cute little nurse next to me, and she jumps back with like the fear of God in her. Like it scared me because she jumped and like ran away from me in fear, and like so I kind of like freaked out, and like I looked at her, and she's like, how you doing? I'm like, good. Can I take this mask off? It tastes funny. And she's like, yeah. She's like, you're all right? I'm like, yeah. And I pulled the mask off of me. She's like, you sure you're okay? I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh. I'm like, why? What's wrong? And she's like, well, you woke up like 15 minutes ago, and you ripped everything off of you and screamed at me, swinging at me. She's like, apparently I called her a dumb bitch and all this shit, and like I don't remember any of it. Like I remember apologizing to her, like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. She's like, don't worry, different people react differently when they wake up out of these drugs. And yeah, so but I remember waking up, and like after that being so nauseous, like just wanting to throw up, and telling the nurse, and they came over, and they were like, all right, well, we got something for you. And believe it or not, this hurt even worse than when the doctor re-broke my nose for some reason. But she's like, we got something to give you for the nausea, because they were gonna send me home. Like it was like ready time to go home, but I was like wanting to throw up, so I didn't want to get up and walk out of, get wheeled out of the hospital, like wanting to puke everywhere and shit. So she's like, we got this shot for you, and she's like, I'm gonna need you to roll on your side. I'm thinking, what the fuck? Like, she better not be. They shoot it right into your butt, and like oh my God, that shit hurts so bad. I don't know if you guys ever had a needle shot into your ass cheek before, but it friggin' hurts, right? But it definitely fixed the nausea. But on my way, on my way out the door, like the doctor comes in and he hands me this nasal spray, and he's like, and just a little background on me, I am horrible with dripping anything in my eyes. I can't drip stuff in my eyes. I could never wear contacts because you'd have to touch your own eyeball. I can't do that. I can't sniff shit up my nose, which is kind of good because I'll never be a cokehead because of that. You know, I have this horrible thing about sniffing shit up my nose. Always have. And also I have this like issue with like swallowing pills. Like for some reason if they're any bigger than like Tylenols, I have an issue swallowing even with water for some reason. I don't know. I'm just weird like that. I don't like injecting things. I hate needles and shit like that. But yeah, so he hands me this nasal spray and he's like, this is very important, right? He's like, take this spray. And he's like, I want you to use it at least 3 to 5 times a day. He's like, I want you to put it in your nose as far as up as you can and squeeze it as hard as you can and try to sniff it in. He's like, you probably won't be able to sniff in much, but just try. And both nostrils at least 3 to 5 times a day. He's like, this is very important. He's like, you will regret not doing this if you don't do it. So I'm thinking, oh my God, and now I have to squirt this shit up my nose and sniff it, and like my nose is already like, it's weird because it's the first time breathing out of my nose in a while, but it like kind of burns because of the surgery and like it's all like raw up there. And that's pretty much all he said. So I go home and like I'm stuck in this chair, this like recliner chair at an incline, kind of like this right here. And yeah, like a chair like that. And just for, I think 10 days to 14 days I had to sit like that. But this surgeon was friggin' good. I had no black eyes, nothing. Like, I know people come out of surgery like that and they have 2 black eyes and shit. I didn't have shit. But yeah, so like I remember the first day trying to take that spray and I put it in my nostril and like I barely put it up there. And like I tried to sniff, like breathing through my nose, like I said, was kind of an issue. It was like burning and shit. It was like a new feeling for me, like that I haven't done in like 3 or 4 years or something like that. So yeah, I put it in like halfway into my nose and then I just squeeze it and there's no way I'm sniffing. So I just like squeeze it and let it drip down. And I do that on both sides. Like, and I did that like, I think it was like a week, or I can't remember if it was 2 weeks. I would do it like that, like half-assing it. And then I had to go in for my follow-up visit, and my best friend Joe came with me, and because he was actually living with me at that time. And yeah, so him, Joe, my mother, and me, we all go back to the doctor, and he says like, he's like, yeah, you guys can come into the room with him if you want. So all 3 of us are in the doctor's room, and he comes in and he's like, all right, he's like, you've been using that nasal spray? And I'm thinking, kinda. He's like, well, I hope so, because he's like, we're taking the tubes out today. And I was like, what? He's like, the tubes, we gotta take your tubes out. I was like, tubes? I'm like, what tubes? He's like, you have tubes in your nasal cavities right now. I'm like, what? I'm like, nobody told me I had tubes up there. And he's like, yeah. He's like, what do you think the spray was for? He's like, if you don't use that, he's like, all the blood will coagulate on it, and when we pull it out, it'll get stuck, and you know what I mean, it'll hurt, like you'll get bloody nose from it and everything. And he's like, that's what the spray was for, to keep it, you know, everything from coagulating on the. They weren't like, I couldn't find a picture of them. I wanted to show you guys, but they weren't like tubes. They were like these. It was like you ever roll a piece of paper up and make a tube? It was kind of like something like that, but they were like oval shaped pieces of plastic, like really clear ones that they just rolled and pretty much rolled in half and then put them in my nose, I guess, and then they would kind of expand on their own to keep the passages open. And yeah, so I'm in instant panic thinking like, oh God, this is gonna hurt. And thank God, like from what I did, like, and I guess the constant like slow bleeding up there, nothing coagulated, and it didn't, like, nothing got stuck when he was pulling it out. But he literally, I don't know how to explain the feeling. Like, he reaches up there with these clamps, and I found a picture of somebody else getting theirs removed. I won't show you them actually pull them out, but like this is what it looked like. You know what I mean? Like he's reaching up in there, and he grabs this thing and he starts pulling, and I can't even explain this. Like, you ever seen like a dog when you scratch his belly and their leg starts kicking? Like, that's what my leg started doing that. And I remember I made like the sour face, like when he was pulling it out, like my left eye was squinting when he was pulling the left one out, and like I just ate something really sour. My leg was kicking, and it was just like he was pulling something out from my eyeball. Like, it was so weird. And then he had to do it again, and it was just like the exact same thing, but opposite side. My right leg and my right eye would start going. And oh my god, that was so crazy. But yeah, that's my story of my broken nose and my fixed nose and what my nose is like now. I mean, if you saw my nose, well, you've seen my nose before, but it's perfect now. And the only thing is like normal people can like push in the tip of their nose and like squish it around, and like mine has like a hard piece of plastic in the tip of it, so it doesn't. But I can breathe through it now, which is amazing. And still to this day, sometimes it surprises me when I breathe through it like that, when I'm just like, if I'm just like sitting there sitting with my mouth closed, like I'm like, I remember when I couldn't even do that. Like, I always had to have my mouth open. Like, it was terrible. But yeah, I mean, I think that was actually enough for one story, you know. And if you guys want to hear more injuries, I have a few other injuries that are pretty good stories too, so I'm sure we could tell them too. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Hopefully I can get you some more videos soon. I've been super busy, that's why I haven't been posting like crazy lately. But yeah, I'm gonna do my best to get you guys some more stuff soon. And let's don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video after this little clip here for you. Peace.